So hi, today we will talk about the basic way of making boom bap beats. That's the way I like. There are many others as well. So that's not the only way, but I really enjoy it. So first of all, when you open the FL Studio, you will see here tempo. So you should decrease it. Usually, boom bap beats, they range from like 87 to 95, sometimes 98, but most of the time this is like something like 90. So the next, in step sequencer, you should insert a sampler, and basically this sampler, when you click it, you can import any non-stock sound. For example, in here you can find a lot of stock sounds in FL Studio, and most of them are really cool, but I also like using some non-stock sounds and combine them together so that they sound a little bit maybe different, and sometimes I like to experiment with it. So you click on this icon which actually imports the sample. So for example, in here in recent files I have 3 folders. You just can't find any on your computer, in which you actually copied all your samples. For example, kicks. So let's take a look at the kicks that we have there. For example, I like this one, so I just double click on it. It is important. So you can actually here change the sustain of it and other settings. And what you do next, you insert another sampler for the snare drum. So right now we will choose the snare. For example, I like this one, so I also imported that. You can experiment what to do with it. So here we have a kick and snare. You can also colorify it to make them stand out, And now let's say I want some hi-hat. And for hi-hat, I usually like some also non-stock hi-hats, but I can also choose any stock one that I like. For example, tambourine. This one is good. I usually use another one, but that's also not bad. So now we have this bass of the drum. You can also add some other percussion sounds that sometimes I add. For example, open hi-hats. I also add some other elements like cowbell or any other percussion sounds, but that's just okay for now. So what we do here, we have a swing value. So, and in Boom Bap, the swing value is usually between 65 to 75. Let's set it up to 65. So what you actually basically do is to slide this slider to the right side to 65%. So now we are ready to go. So the swing value, I will show you why it is so important. Let's just reset it and program the beat. So programming the beat is really easy. You just need to put the snares. You can also use this tool. Just right click, fill each 4 steps, fill each 2 steps, fill each 8 steps. But when you fill each 8 steps, it's not correct, because it should be here. So, and if you click it on this piano icon, you can actually pitch shift this sample. Let's do something like that. There is another way. You can actually just send all that to piano roll by right clicking, and then here, as you can see, we have all this snares already imported into piano roll. So what you do basically is Control A, then by pressing Control and holding it, you pressing Shift and holding it, you can not transpose, but pitch shift them like that. Take a look. This one is good. So basically you just change the note velocity here. And next we should set up a kick. Let's say something like that. Very basic. So let's take a look. Yeah. So, and why actually the swing value is so important here? I will explain you why. Because first of all, this right now, this beat, it sounds a little bit artificial. Let's take a look. It's too stiff maybe. So what we do here, for example, let's just shift it like that and listen once again. Now it sounds like it should be. And the final thing, many producers, they like to highlight this closely programmed bass drums, kick drums. So in order to do that, in order to achieve this effect, you can just decrease the velocity in here, something like that, maybe a little bit less. And now you will notice the difference. So this closely juxtaposed kick drum, it sounds less intense, and it creates the feeling that actually the beat is not that artificial anymore. And link temp, finally, a very quick way, right click, fill each 2 steps, and here we go. Now the important moment here, I do not like to do this in mixer, because actually all these drums, they are already in the mixer. So I just adjust the volume straight in here. For example, 75. Here we have the drum, the bass drum or kick drum. It should be a little bit less than snare drum, but not much less, because then you will not hear anything. So maybe 73, and the hi-hat is the least, let's say, hearable sound here. 42 is usually enough, maybe even less, like that, 38%. So now we programmed this beat, but when you program the beat, there comes another problem. You have other sounds added here. It's not easy to master them, just because even if you decrease the volume of other sounds in the mixer, for example in here, something is missing, because either your drums are too aggressive, and they just make everything else sound faded, or maybe vice versa. So what I do usually is very simple. If you click left click on these drum samples, here comes the channel settings, and in here there is a window. That's a very basic element here, which helps you to work with your drums and add some effects to it. You just you can do it 2 ways. The first thing is you can just left click here, assign free mixer track, or if you want, and you probably will have to import these 2 samples into the same channel in mixer here, You see? You just, choose by just, navigating here, left clicking and holding. And now you can choose any, like mixer track. For example, I want like mixer track number 2 or maybe number 3. So this sample is already here, and the same happens to this sample. I just, left click on it, then holding, choose 2, and both of them are right now here. So for tambourine, it's not necessary. So right now, we have both of these samples in the mixer track number 2. So what we do here, we just, again, left click, and we choose one very nice plugin, one very nice mastering plugin, which is called Transpire. So you just click on it. It is right now downloaded. So what it does, it adjusts the sound of your drums so that it doesn't hurt other sounds. For example, let's listen to the beat we created once again. So maybe I want it to sound a little bit more booming, so that it's like prominent, So what I do here, you can adjust these several things. This is sustain. This is actually not very necessary because it actually decreases the length of your samples or increases them a little bit. What you need actually are two things here. The first thing is attack. When you increase an attack, the drum sounds, they become really, really prominent. And the more you increase them to the right side, the more prominent they are, and vice versa. You can decrease them as well. And the same applies to this, knob. This knob actually increases the volume simply. So I usually combine these two techniques. So the first technique, we will just listen to it. The change is actually a little bit subtle, but you obviously hear it, especially when you have other, samples around. I usually set it up to 1.8, sometimes 2, depending on other sounds, and maybe increasing the volume a little bit just by 1 decibel. That should be enough. So now it's clear how it sounds, and in order to exemplify it a little bit more in a more detailed way, we will add another pattern. So you just click plus, put any name, let's say 111, and now let's import let's import piano. Okay, piano. The piano is another very good VST. You can adjust much there, but right now let's not do this. Let's just choose the setting like mellow and go to piano roll. So let's use any like stock chord, maybe like major 7. Okay, that's just fine. So and this piano is a little bit aggressive, so that's why you should be careful. It's better to set it up to like 58, maybe 60%, maybe even less. So now we will adjust it here to the track number 2 in the playlist and play it. So now I will exemplify how Transpire plugin actually helps us. So right now it is switched on, so the drums sound prominent, but as soon as you switch it off, it feels like a little bit like, So you increase the volume